Today we're here at the CCI-FS in Chongqing, and now we have a very special guest. We have Chia Caihan. She is Chief Representative of the Singapore Exchange, and we are going to discuss the event here and also the role of Singapore Exchange. So first of all, could you introduce the Singapore Exchange and its connection to Chongqing?
Okay, the Singapore Exchange is the key exchange in Singapore, and we are a multi-asset exchange. So what that means is that we not only cover securities, we have a whole slew of asset classes covering derivatives, fixed income, currencies, commodities. So it's more like a combination of maybe what we have onshore. When you look at, you have a specific commodity exchange, a specific derivatives exchange. Whereas for Singapore, we have all in one, and that's Singapore Exchange. So because of the wide range of asset classes that we have, we are able to bring a lot of good products to investors and also to corporates, because when corporates come to the Singapore Exchange, it's not only looking for fundraising opportunities, they look for risk management opportunities through our other products. So in that sense, we get to serve a bigger group of investors and then to satisfy their business in the various stages. And for the Singapore Exchange, and its connection with the China market, the Chongqing market. Actually, we have started our China business many years back. Our first Chinese listed company was back in 1997. So that is very much earlier. And since then, we have grown our listed companies to quite a relatively big pool. Now we have about 100 companies. In total, we have about 700 listed companies in Singapore, and China companies, Greater China company takes up 100. So that's a decent percentage. And in terms of the number of bond issuers that we have here, China issuers take up 15%. So we are quite closely connected with China. And in terms of Chongqing, because of this Chongqing Connectivity Initiative, we have actually grown our presence here, actively participating in their plans to develop Chongqing into an inland financial center. And also, we are looking at how we can bring in some resources in terms of the building of an entire financial center ecosystem, in terms of bringing the professionals in, getting corporates educated on what it means to go to an international market. That is how we are contributing to this whole CCI initiative, and then also the financial arm of it. Yes.
Okay, so how has the CCI-FS benefited the Singapore Exchange?
I think to us, it's another platform for us to showcase what we can bring to corporates, especially to China corporates, and our good understanding of the China corporates. Because when it comes to business models, Chinese corporates, they may have their own business models, their own culture. And it always makes sense for Asian exchange to come and interact with the corporates, and they'll be able to understand them better. So what we need is a platform. And Chongqing, Chongqing is considered the third G2G project between China and Singapore. Before that, we have Suzhou, we have Tianjin. But Chongqing has a broader scope when it comes to cooperation. It's not fixated at a particular location. It talks about connectivity, all sorts of connectivity, be it logistics, be it your air travel, be it financial connectivity. And what Singapore Exchange participates mostly in is financial connectivity, but from there, we are able to tap on the other connectivity that Chongqing is building. When it comes to logistics, we look at logistics company, how they do fundraising, what are the kind of funding that they need along the Belt and Road other countries. So that is how we are able to support and bring our presence to Chongqing. And on the other hand, Chongqing corporates looking to go into the international markets, they are able to, through Singapore, which is a pretty neutral platform, for them to reach out to be it Asian investors, Asia partners, or it may be US, Europe partners. And through, I think they find a lot of value in Singapore being a developed and neutral jurisdiction. Yeah.
Sure. So what are your predictions for future growth of the Singapore Exchange?
Singapore has seen quite a good growth in terms of funds in the last 1 year, I would say. There's a lot of asset management companies, wealth management companies that have set up in Singapore, and then also there's a lot of family offices that have brought a lot of funds into Singapore. So from there, we can see that when we have new funds, of course, we look for new investment targets. And that's where a stock exchange like Singapore Exchange, where we are able to combine a lot of all these assets, that it becomes a very nice platform for investors to come and then look for what are the things that they can invest in. So for the stock market itself, I would think that for the next 2 to 5 years, we can see quite a decent growth in Singapore Exchange, and that's more because Singapore, as a developed financial center, is bringing in the right funds and bringing in the right people to take note of this country and the financial services that it can provide.
Okay, so what issues do you hope can be resolved at this CCI-FS?
I would think it's still, because it's still at the initial stages of building up as a financial center, inland financial center, I would think that building up ecosystem is important. Just like how Singapore develops a lot of its sector strengths, I think some of the people who are familiar with Singapore would know that we've grown from being a industrial-focused country to maybe more on trade, and slowly we grow. So for every step that we take, we first grow the ecosystem. We bring in the professionals, we bring in the right parties. And for Chongqing, what I do see now that is lacking is the ecosystem. We need the professionals, educated ones, so that they can send the right messages to the corporates. And from there, the corporates grow to know about what the international market is about, what can they stand to gain from stepping out of China, and what can they bring back to China after they develop themselves, establish themselves outside. So in terms of building the ecosystem, I think that is something that we should be focusing on. The Financial Summit every year is a very good platform for all these professionals, researchers, even agencies who support financial growth in Chongqing to gather. So I would look forward to seeing this Financial Summit going on year, going forward, and to have more focus maybe each year on some of the matters that really matter to the financial sector most. So I think in the past few years, we do look at things like green finance. We do look at, like this year, I think there's a lot of things on RMB internationalization. So all these things, if we develop it deeper, I would see that Chongqing will have its own unique position in China and as a financial center when compared to perhaps Shanghai. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, and finally, how can businesses in Chongqing move towards the international market through the planned Chongqing International Financial Center?
Okay, in Chongqing, I do see a few sectors that have potential. One is the high-tech industry. I think this is something that every city or every country is trying to develop now, and as a financial center, you need to be able to service this kind of corporates. And I do see some good potential names when I do my corporate visits. So high-tech sector is one, which I think they can use the Singapore platform, which is already a very developed ecosystem for tech companies, to grow their businesses and see how they can bring back some of these commercialized assets back into China for a bigger population to use. And another part that I think may be worth focusing is logistics. Given the ILSTC developments and how Chongqing positions itself in the trade connectivity between Asia and Europe and the rest of the Belt Road countries. So I think in terms of logistics, when you want to develop it, you need funds, of course. And that's when, as an exchange, where we are able to bring in all the funds and look at how they can be invested in the very good sectors, good corporates. That's how we can help Chongqing to grow this part of the financial sector. Yes.